New York is bankrupt.
New York City faces a budget crisis of a historic magnitude. We inherited a deficit larger than any since the Great Recession. We cannot close this deficit with savings alone. We need new revenue.
You heard the mayor of New York, Mamdani. The situation is very, very bad, and honestly, I'm not surprised. This is what Manhattan looks like. Latam moment. Sometimes this really looks like Latin America. Just look at this, guys. The dump. Incredible. This isn't India, it's not Bangladesh, it's not Paris, France. Look, I know we're not talking about the African continent when it comes to Paris. You know, Paris is an African city. No. This is New York, guys. A dump, an unbelievable pigsty. Let's turn off the music. Look at this, guys. It's incredible. And right now we're going to see that this is becoming pretty common in the city. That's the worst part of all. The car is all messed up. Look at the snow here. This video is already a few weeks old, obviously, right? Look at all the trash everywhere. The mess that happened in the city. We documented that on this channel when we covered garbage collection. A disaster. A total disaster. And guys, this has reached such a point, such a level that, well, just look. Let's take a look at this. Here it says New York is already feeling the socialism it voted for. Mamdani, what the heck is this? Let's see. Damn.
It's too fucking crazy. Look at these fucking idiots, bro. Like, you can't have anything nice in New York.
Look at this. Just potholes everywhere. You'll see, guys.
Look, see? He even knows. Look at these fucking potholes.
Potholes? What is this? Just some random third world city?
Look at the turkeys. Look at this one. Look at it.
Look at this. Look at this, guys. This is New York, huh?
What is this?
And you know what's the worst part? That New Yorkers pay a totally excessive amount of taxes. Completely outrageous, and it doesn't even make any sense. And this is what they get in return, a rip-off.
What is this? Like... Look at...
Holy shit, look at that, says the guy.
You can't have anything nice in New York, Mamdani. What the hell?
He even asks the mayor, hey Mamdani, what the hell?
What's going on?
Am I in... What the hell is going on, Mamdani? On the moon?
Am I on the moon? Look at this.
Look at this.
I'm size 9.
Incredible. Amazing. I mean, imagine if your car fell into one of these.
What the fuck?
I mean, of course, what? Huge disaster. And this is just another day at the office in New York. In fact, just look at this. Here's what they say. New York City is bankrupt. The reasons that explain the budget deficit of up to $12 billion in New York point to what is being described as a historic crisis. There you have it. So, according to Mamdani, he was going to give away a bunch of things. He was going to offer I don't know how many crazy things. And look, until recently, he was still offering this. No, wait, what am I saying? Or was it recently? Today, actually. Just look at that. Impressive. Free buses have been included for New York City in the state budget plan for the years 2026 and 2027. I'm going to say something important. There is no such thing as free buses. That doesn't exist. I know you might think, no, of course it exists because I can get on a bus and I won't pay a single cent. Of course, but obviously someone has to pay for it. And who does it? Very simple. The citizens with their tax money. In fact, ironically, many times it actually ends up being much more expensive when paid for this way. Because let's remember that politicians steal an absurd amount. But anyway, just imagine what we're seeing. Here they tell us the following. Mayor of New York, Mamdani, is he finished? In the middle of a fiscal crisis, he handed out $500,000 in funds for activities to a group of African American citizens. The citizens are furious. Justice Department investigation underway. What the hell? What the hell? And while Mamdani is giving away taxpayers' money to minorities, it turns out that in New York, things as absurd as the following are happening. Look at this. Rat fight. Exactly, two rats fighting over a bagel in New York. Look at this, guys. Look at this level. Look at this madness. Look at this epic battle. This is everyday life in New York. Just imagine how crazy that is. Now, let me remind you that this happened in New York. A train ticket from New York to MetLife Stadium in New Jersey will cost $100 during the World Cup. We already talked about this in a video, but it's also important to mention it so you can understand how critical the situation is in New York. Look, a round-trip ticket usually costs $12.90, but it was decided that it will increase by 800% because of the demand. Let's remember that in Qatar 2022, bus and train transportation was free for the fans. That's right, you heard it, free. And in this case, $100 during the World Cup. Highway robbery. There's no other way to put it. Robbery? Period. And yes, obviously all this because there's no money in New York. And by the way, let's see what Javier Milei said about the New York crisis. I remember that when this leftist won, I predicted the disaster he would cause, referring to Mamdani. In fact, I remember that on TN they brought in a curly-haired leftist who defended him passionately. The psychologist and his leftist cronies sided with this little leftist, referring to the mayor. Here's the result. They're part of the problem. Look, if there's one thing I can say, it's that this mayor promised he would give everything for free. He said everything would be free, everything. I mean, he was almost giving things away, offering everything for free and nothing else. Suddenly he came out saying there's no money in New York, that there's no money. He even started blaming the previous administration. That's classic, right? Pretty much all politicians do that. Just another day at the office. Now, obviously I'm telling you, the situation in New York is really, really bad. And even so, this guy is offering free buses. Who's going to pay for it? Well, obviously the taxpayers through taxes, through debt, and a bunch of other things, almost certainly. But I'm telling you, the situation is critical. Here, Mayor Mamdani and the councillor are telling us. The municipality extends the deadline to May 12 to negotiate a bailout that's being negotiated for New York, while the governor flatly refuses to touch taxes on the wealthiest sectors. Let's say you tax big companies, billionaires, and mega corporations. I know this might seem very positive on paper, but in the end, it's always the middle class that ends up paying for it. And the reason is very simple. When you raise taxes on a company, obviously you're making their operations more complicated and affecting their profitability. Therefore, they will be forced to raise their prices. Yes, that's known as tax shifting. That is, the business owner passes the tax on to the consumer. Exactly. So, in the end, you always end up paying for it. What happens is that politicians on paper tell you, let the rich pay. And it sounds very nice, it sounds wonderful, it sounds beautiful, but in the end, letting the rich pay means you end up paying. That's the final result of that. Now here they tell us the city is trying to reverse toxic accounting and the impact of capital flight to other states. That's true. A lot of people have left, especially to Florida. Oh guys, the situation in New York is simply catastrophic. Anyway, just another day at the office. So gentlemen, see you next time.